Hey guys, it's Tamara Bennett from Southern Adoornments Decor. How are you? This is Tuesday, which means that I'm painting live with you guys like I always do on Tuesdays. And before I get started, I was just going around with a piece of chalk because this design has a lot of details up in the top. And so I was just tracing some of those details with a piece of chalk so that I know which parts to paint white because there's a lot going on here. So it kind of helps me like visually just in my mind separate it out. So don't mind me while I do that for just a second. I'm just going to trace all these areas with chalk that are supposed to be white. And then sometimes I go back and double check the picture too. Like I wasn't sure if this here was a piece of cotton. Yes, it is. So this is white. And then this area here is white. And then on this one, y'all say hello as you come in. Tell me where you're from. If you're from Texas, let me know. Did you get some snow last night? I heard Texas got snow. Kentucky's kind of jealous. I'm just going to say, my kids were like, why didn't we get snow? It was really funny because my youngest son, he is 10, and he asked me this morning, he said, Mom, have they announced when the snow days are going to be yet? I said, honey, they don't just like announce when they're going to have snow days. Like they don't designate those ahead of time. Like they just happen. You know, we can't like plan ahead very well for those. This area here's white also. Okay. So there's a lot going on this one, but it's going to be super cute once it's painted. So if you have not done so yet, if you want to get notified next time I go live, be sure and text the number on the screen. If you need to, just screenshot it for later because I'm going to take it down in just a second when I start painting. Let's see. Jackie in North Carolina said the Outer Banks is topping off in the 70s. It's cooler here today, but it was warmer here yesterday evening. Melissa's got snow. Hello, Stephanie from Geneva, Florida. You are out of Lubbock. Okay. How are you guys? Hi, Carol from Texas. She says no snow in the Dallas area, just rain and cold. Okay. Well, let's get started. We're going to be painting a fun farmhouse design today. And this is like a wooden like market box. I called it, like I put market on it because I was thinking like farmer's market, but you could put welcome or the Bennett's or whatever word on here you want to. But we're going to paint this to look like wood. Then we're going to paint these to look like mason jars and these to look like the little silver caps that go on the top of the mason jars. And then there will be bouquets of cotton inside each one. So it's going to be super cute. All right, let me take this off the screen for those of you who have already done that. And we're just going to start by base coating this area down here at the bottom. Let me make a quick picture of this real quick though. I wanted to take a picture of how I did the cotton around each one with chalk so that I can easily explain it later. All right, so I've got a big flat tip brush. We're just going to start with this color here. It's called Honey Brown. And we're going to base coat it with this, and then we're going to dry brush on some darker colors to kind of create a faux wood grain look. And I probably should not have worn something with long sleeves. But it's chilly in my house today, so I was wearing my like warm cardigan to feel nice and cozy here at home. You're in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You have rain and temperatures in the 30s. That sounds cold. I'm not ready for 30-degree weather. I like the 60s pretty good. 60s and 70s, I could do that, but I don't like 30s. Hello, Melissa. How are you? Good afternoon, Valletta. What a cool name. I've never heard that name before, Valletta. That's a beautiful name. Hi, Mama. My mama is Jan. She's watching from Florida. She is what we would call a snowbird. She goes down to Florida and stays for the winter. So she'll be back in time to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas with us. And then she'll go back and stay until about April. And so that's the luxury life of retirement. She's going to Florida during the winter months. And then she spends the spring, summer, and fall months here in Kentucky. Middle Georgia. Awesome. I'm from Kentucky, in case you did not know, and I teach door hanger painting. My name is Tamara Bennett. I don't know if I introduced myself at the beginning of this. I may have. I do it. It's kind of like when you answer the phone at work, and then you come home, and you accidentally answer the phone the same way at home. Like you do it without even thinking about it. So I probably did. I don't remember. Okay, so this is Honey Brown. We're doing one coat of this. Let me dry it real quick, and then we're going to dry brush on some darker browns. Okay, you don't have to get a really like strong coat on this because we're going to be dry brushing some other colors on top of it. So if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to get a, here we go. So when I use this big, huge brush, obviously it's not going to fit down in my egg carton very well. So I do keep foam plates out from time to time. And I'm going to put a little bit, I've been doing this technique for years. So I like to take 2 or 3 shades of brown and I lay them out on a foam plate. So that color there was called, what was that? Burnt sienna. This one is called dark chocolate. If I can get it to work. And we're just going to do, it's the dark chocolate's getting kind of, oh, we got a glob there. We're going to try to do like a little line. And I'm trying to do it about the width of the brush, okay? And maybe just a wee bit of black. And you can also do a lighter shade too if you like. We'll see how it turns out. And if we need a lighter shade, we'll use one. So I've been doing this technique for a really long time. And this brush is as old as the technique is for me. So look how old and cruddy this brush is. I got it at the Dollar Tree like 5 years ago. It's had a few bad hair days. See all those crazy strands going around? So you take your brush and you just barely dip it in one of the colors. And you get just a little bit on your brush. Then you can dab it off on a paper towel to make sure you get the excess off. Then you're just going to take it and you're going to scrape from end to end. Let me put that down. I got to hold the door hanger still so it doesn't slide. I don't know if you guys can start to see that developing, but let me dip a little bit more. But you can start to see kind of a like rustic look kind of starting to develop here. Let's try not wiping it off on our paper towel. The reason we're doing this first before we paint our mason jars is obviously because we don't want to like mess up our mason jars after we've painted them. So we're going to do the wood first. Okay, let's dip in the darker brown. This is the, what color was this? Dark chocolate. And I'm just really light. And then once I get some of the excess off, then I'm kind of pushing down with that brush. Let me get a little bit more. Do some up here. So see, once I get sort of the excess off the brush, then I push down just a little bit harder. And it creates a really cool antique look. And I like to go along the edges a little bit more too. So let's do it with some black too. So now we've done 3 colors once we do this black. Now I'm going to try to go a little lighter on the black. There we go. I should have set my phone up to make like a time-lapse video. I completely forgot to do that. Guess it's a little late now, but next time. Oh well. All right. It's looking pretty good, but I feel like it needs a lighter color. So that's what I was talking about. Like, we'll just have to wait and see. So I want to add, let's see. No, I got to pick just the right color. Here we go. This might work. Desert sand. It's kind of like a khaki color. So we're going to go and add just a little bit of this in. I'm not even washing my brush in between, okay? We're kind of doing a little bit of both. Okay, so we got a little bit on there. So we're just going to really lightly drag it across. And then once I get most of it off, I start doing it a little rougher. And if you get a little oopsie spot like that where you get too much, just blend it. And if you have to, you can go back and get the original paint color and go back over it to lighten it. But I almost think it looks better if you have random spots that have more than others. It just looks a little bit more authentic. Okay. What do you think? Is it looking good? Melissa says, I use a chip brush from Walmart and I never wash them. Thank you, Lynn. Cookie says, hello from Indiana. Do you have a store in Kentucky too, or just online? It's just online. Let's go back and get a little bit more of this burnt sienna. I feel like it needs just a little bit more of that. And honestly, I could spend all day just continually adding texture to this, but we're going to move on in just a second. This is just a really cool way to kind of make it look like an old piece of wood. Let me do the edges with a little bit of black. I like to usually keep it all going in one direction too, but if I'm just doing the edges with black, sometimes I'll go in a different direction around across the bottom. This will also make a mess of your table too. Okay, I'm not even gonna wash this. We're just gonna set it back to the side. Let me wipe my table a little bit because I've kind of got a mess here, and I'll clean it up later, but there we go. It does look like an old box. Isn't that cool? Okay, so now let's start painting the mason jars. I have chosen 2 colors to paint the mason jars, and we're going to see what they look like blended. I've got Sea Breeze and Light Lime. Catherine says, I just got off on lunch. What are you doing? We are painting a farmhouse door hanger. I'm going to actually put these in the same egg carton. See the contrast between them? We've got Sea Breeze and we've got Light Lime. Okay, so let's see. Let me take my cardigan off. It's getting warm in here again. I get hot when I start talking. I think it's my nerves. I get a little bit nervous, like painting. Not to mention I've got a new assistant here with me. So if you hear clicking going, she's taking pictures. And I know y'all are going to laugh at me about this, and she is too, because I can paint in front of 1,000 of you on Facebook Live and not get nervous. But if somebody's watching me do a Facebook Live, for some reason, that makes me nervous. I don't know why. I guess it's like, I feel like I actually have an audience, even though you guys are not pretend. I know you're real and you're watching. It's so bizarre. I know, but it's a weird thing about, being online. So if I start to act like I'm nervous, it's because I'm not used to having somebody actually here watching me. And so she's taking pictures for me while I do Facebook Live and turning some of these cute little snippets into like TikTok videos and stuff and content for the blog. So I enjoy her being here, but it does make me a little nervous. So I'm just going to be honest about it. So I'm going to take this Sea Breeze color, and we're just going to go around the outer edge of, well, we're going to paint the whole part of the mason jars. And then we'll take the Limelight color. That's a new color that I picked up. And we'll do it in the middle of each mason jar to kind of give them a little bit of a shaded effect. So I'm just painting one mason jar at a time. That way that the paint stays wet. So now that this mason jar is covered, I'm going to pick up a little bit of that Limelight and paint it right there in the middle. And I probably should have shook the Limelight color up a little bit better. But just kind of go left to right, keep layering it on right there across the middle. And that kind of makes it look more like real glass. You thought you were seeing a flash. Yeah, she's got a fancy camera. I have only ever taken pictures with my iPhone, but she brought her a fancy photography camera. Okay, so we're going a little bit heavier with it right there in the middle of the jar. And then I'm trying to feather it out just a little bit going further out. Do you see what I did there? So right here in the middle, it's a little thicker with the Limelight color. That's this one here. And then out to the edges, we've got more of the Sea Breeze. Let me pick up a little bit more Sea Breeze and kind of bring it in toward the middle a little bit. It's kind of hard because once you start going with it, you want to like just keep putting too much. And so it's easy to accidentally paint the whole thing with Limelight. So try to go easy on your layers of it and feather it out so that you've got most of it in the middle. Okay, let's do the next mason jar. I'm going to start painting it with a base coat of this. What color was this one? This one's Sea Breeze. It is a pretty color, isn't it, Cindy? Jerry says you can talk back. They may want to get to know you too.
Oh, me?
Yep. Her name is Shannon, but she goes by Shan. She's a student here at Murray State University, and she's a graphic design major. And so she has started working with us, and she's creating some photography for us and maybe some graphic designs and things like that. And I don't know. We haven't quite all figured out what she's going to do for us because I think she's one of those people that can do just about anything. We just got to figure out what her zone of genius is. And so once we figure that out, we're definitely going to keep her busy. Okay, now I'm just picking up that Limelight color and we're putting it in the middle while it's still wet. And notice how I'm doing like a little, almost like I'm sweeping the floor, a little back and forth sweeping motion. Really soft. And whoops, I went too far over with that. So let me pick up a little bit more of the Sea Breeze. It's hard to see where to stop, but going to look good either way. Like it's going to look pretty neat. Okay, let's start painting this mason jar. Do a base coat. I'm excited about this one. This is one of my more favorite door hangers that I've designed in a long while. I think it would be really cute, even painted smaller and like set on a shelf if you had farmhouse decor in your home. So what would you guys put on the bucket, or not on the bucket, the box? In the picture, I had the word market, kind of like farmer's market, but you could put anything. So what would you guys put? Hi, Judy from Texas. Thank you guys for sprinkling the love. I appreciate that so much. Helps other people find my videos in the newsfeed. And as you guys know, we like to surprise some of you who sprinkle the love with happy mail from time to time. So you may be one of the people that we message and say, hey, give me your address. You never know. Also, if you're watching from Facebook and you want the links to any of the things that I'm talking about today, you can get those by saying the word link, and it'll send all of the links to the products I use to your Facebook Messenger. If you're watching from YouTube or somewhere else, the links should be in the video description for you. Let's see. You would put thankful or gather. That's a good idea. You like hello. If this one turns out as good as I hope, I may put the Bennetts on it. But it's funny because I've only ever done that with a handful of actual door hangers no, actually I've probably only put the Bennetts on maybe 1 or 2 door hangers in the 5 years that I've been doing door hangers. And that's just because I know that, like, if I don't put the Bennetts on it, I could potentially sell it to somebody. And so I always want to keep that possibility that I could sell it. Okay, so I'm using light mocha and plain white for the colors that we're going to use on the cotton. So the light mocha will give it a little bit of a shadow, and the white will make it look more bright and cottony, I guess. So actually, I'm going to try to start laying like a base coat of the white down, and I'm not going to worry too much about staying inside the lines. So I'm going to just messily put white down as a base coat. And then we'll go back and we'll add some of that light mocha on top as a shading color. And I may do it 1 jar at a time, just like I did before. I may paint all of the white in this jar first and then go back and add the mocha to it. Hi, Hayden from New Orleans. I've been to New Orleans a couple of times. It's a beautiful city. Lots of history there. Thank you for sprinkling the love, Lisa. It's cold in Texas. It's pretty chilly out here today, too. I went outside earlier and I thought I was going to freeze. I don't like the colder temperatures. I like for it to stay a little bit warmer until after Halloween. That way we don't freeze when we go trick-or-treating. Amen. Are you going trick-or-treating this year? No. Hey, you never get too old to trick-or-treat. I said, like, if I lived on a busy street where kids came trick-or-treating, I don't care if they are 25 years old. If they are in a costume and they want to say trick-or-treat, I will give them candy. Now, you don't get free handouts if you ain't wearing a costume, though. You got to be dressed up.
I just get bags of candy.
Just get bags of candy. So when we were kids, we always drove around to friends and family house, you know, out in the country, and trick-or-treated at people's houses that we knew. And then one time we were like, you know what, we'll go into the city and we'll go trick-or-treating in one of the neighborhoods. Okay, now I'm going to add in a little bit of the light mocha, by the way. I thought we'll go into one of the neighborhoods and do like the kids do in the movies, you know, go actually door to door in some of these neighborhoods. Because out here in the country, you really can't do that, or you'd be walking a half a mile between each house. And so we thought we would do that. But we were so disappointed because we're used to like grandmas and aunts and people like that, neighbors giving us like full-size Snicker bars or like the really good stuff. And then you go to like these really busy neighborhoods and they're like, here's a single Tootsie Roll or a peppermint. And I'm like, oh, come on, that's the cheap candy. Give us the good stuff. So if I was in a busy neighborhood, I think I would have to buy the good stuff, but that would get quite expensive, I'm sure. Especially if you had lots of kids showing up. So I just randomly placed this light mocha color in the cotton. And now I'm going back with a little bit of white and kind of feathering a little bit of white on top of it. It's kind of a messy shading technique to kind of add a little bit of fluffy texture to the cotton balls. And they really don't look like cotton yet, but they will. Okay, let's do the next set of cotton balls on this one here. This is really not going to start coming together until we get like the little brown pieces on the cotton or the greenery of the leaves, but it's going to be so cute once it does. It's 42 degrees in West Virginia. That's where I'm from. That's where she's from. Did y'all know that? That's where Shan's from, West Virginia. What part of West Virginia?
I'm between Huntington and Charleston.
Between Huntington and Charleston. I've never actually been to West Virginia.
It's really pretty.
I bet it is. I've heard it's just gorgeous this time of year.
Yeah.
Do you still have a lot of family back there?
Yeah, all my family. Well, mom, dad, brother.
That's right. Your parents still live there, but you said they come here to visit a lot.
Yeah. Everyone else is from Pennsylvania.
I would love to go just tour that area. There's so much history. My husband's a big history buff, so we'll have to do that sometime. All right, now we're adding in just a little bit of the white mocha. I'm kind of just messy adding it. I don't even know how to explain what I'm doing. I'm just kind of wiggling my brush, adding it in fluffy waves to the different sections of the cotton. Adding a little bit more white on top of it. And just layering it on there and making it look fluffy. We get to be messy with this because we're going to go back in later and add all of the leaves and the brown like stems and parts like that. So it's okay if we're super messy right now. Especially with all these etched lines, because we sell these etched blanks in our shop. Etched just means that they have the lines carved in the surface of the door hanger. And so that means that I didn't have to freehand draw any of this on there. And I love it because I can just paint right over the top of all of this. And then I can go back later and I can still see those lines. And I can still add the leaves and the brown parts. And it doesn't matter. I can still see it. Okay, picking up a little bit of the light mocha again. I'm getting faster as I go. I was kind of slower on the first few cotton balls, but now we're getting faster. I think I've run out of white though. My white mocha has overcome my white. I'll put that one in a separate egg carton hole. That way I can keep it from turning brown. Add a little bit more white. And sometimes I'm doing this and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how this is going to turn out. We'll just have to see. But that's the beauty of live, Facebook Live here is the pressure is on to make it turn out cute regardless and to act like I know what I'm doing. But really, I'm just playing with paint. Just pushing it around to all the different areas. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm going to look back over here and see if there's a little bit more white that's needed in places because I don't want the white to look dingy. I want it to look fluffy. And so if there's any spots that look a little bit thin, like the wood's beginning to show through, I'm just going to add just a little bit more white back on top of those to kind of make them stand out. This is like cotton picking time, like harvest time, isn't it? For those of you like down in Georgia and stuff, do you guys have a lot of cotton farms? When you paint, you get lines. So if you get lots of lines, it's probably because you're using too much paint and you're, whoops. I have been getting unknown phone calls from all kinds of political whatever lately. It's so annoying. I've been denying any phone call that I don't know the number on. So if you're getting too many lines, it's probably because you're using too much paint and you're not dabbing off enough of the paint before you get to the edge of something. Now on this cotton stuff, I want it to look fluffy and I want it to look a little bit messy. So if there's areas where I've got too much paint, it's not going to matter so much on this design. Now on other ones, you may not want that look. But this particular one I do. Okay, so now that we've got our cotton all done, yes, I do like painting out of an egg carton. We actually have chickens, and so I don't buy eggs, but all of my friends, family, church friends, neighbors, everybody, they save these for me. Lynn says I do the same thing with the phone calls. I actually got a call the other day, and sometimes it'll say spam risk, but the other day it said political call. I was like, denied. I'm not going to listen to that. Okay, Catherine says, can you explain how the Painters Clubhouse members can participate in the winter paint challenge? I'm glad you asked about that because I meant to talk about it and I completely forgot. If you see this cute door hanger hanging up behind me, it's the winter door hanger challenge design, and we are actually taking signups for that now. It starts November the 9th. And so if you want to learn to paint with me, you can sign up for that at doorhangerchallenge.com. You can get the printable template. I think I have it sitting here if you want to see it. It prints out like this. The template is 18 inches in size. Or no, I'm sorry. The template may be more like 20 inches in size. So if you're cutting your own, you will need like a 20-inch piece of wood that's, you know, a circle. And you're going to use graphite paper to transfer this to your wood. And don't worry, we show you exactly how to do it. We show you exactly where you can get the graphite paper on Amazon. We take all the work out of it for you, except for the actual painting and the cutting part. We take all of the guesswork out. So you're not going to have to figure out where or what supplies to get. We give you links for everything. We tell you the exact paint colors that I'm using, and we have a video showing you how to print the template. We have a video showing you how to trace it on the wood. And we have 3 painting videos. One of them is how to paint this really pretty background that's kind of got the ombre effect where it's lighter in the middle. Then the second video shows you how to paint the cute little snowman. And then the third video shows you how to do the lettering. You will need some of the Posca paint pens that I use all the time for this project. But if you want to paint with me, it's only $10 to participate in the challenge if you're cutting your own wood blank. Now, if you decide to add on the cost of the wooden blank mailed to you, it will have the etched lines in it, like the one that I'm using now. So you won't have to draw anything. You really wouldn't even have to use the printable template, okay? The only reason you would need the printable template is if you decide to cut more and you don't want to order more from us. You want to just cut them yourself. And so you can get the wood blank added on to the challenge for just $30 more. That includes shipping costs. We'll send it to you, and then you'll be able to paint with us on November 9th. Now, if you signed up today, your wood blank would go out tomorrow. We have about 400 of them already boxed and ready to go. And I've just been putting labels on them every single day and sending them out the door. So you would get your wood blank very quickly if you sign up for this challenge. And again, you can do that at doorhangerchallenge.com. What? There's no foam egg carton containers in California. That is nuts. I did not know that. What?
What do they have?
I don't know. I bet they have the little cardboard, like papery ones.
Those just look good.
Yeah, I wouldn't use them for paint though, because they'll soak all the moisture out of your paint. Okay, so Sheila says using a Sharpie on the etched lines has helped me become a faster painter. That's awesome, Sheila. Thank you for sharing that with us. The last day to sign up, and I think you can still sign up all the way up through November the 8th, which is the day before it starts, if you're not getting the blank shipped to you. Now, the cutoff date for shipping those blanks is the Monday before, which is the 2nd, November 2nd. Which is next Monday. So if you want to do it, you need to make sure and sign up by then so that you can get your wood blanks sent to you. But we'll keep shipping them out even if you're purchasing them up until the 8th or the 9th. They just might not come in time to participate with us live. What's the name of the paint pens? They are Posca pens. Do we still pay the $10 if we belong to Painters Clubhouse? No. So that was the original question that I was supposed to answer on here, and I got carried away. Sorry. If you're a Painters Clubhouse member, you can participate in this challenge free of cost. It is already loaded into the membership site. There's instructions for how to get there in the Painters Clubhouse Facebook group. I believe it's under the What's Happening category. Your painting videos aren't in there yet, but the instruction videos and the templates are already in there for you. So if you want to do that with us, go to the Painters Clubhouse and click on What's Happening Now. Ice trays. That's a great idea, Rebecca. Good substitute. Where is your guest from? I'm from that area. She said, where did you say? Between
Huntington and Charleston.
Between Huntington and Charleston. Okay, let's paint this part. What is this? This is the little like metal lids to the jars. So I'm going to use Gray Sky. It's a really pretty gray. And then we're just going to use the same brush. I've been using the same brush this whole time, with the exception of that big one that I did the box with. And we're just going to paint each of these with Gray Sky. And we could actually go back in a little bit and add some like lines to make them look more like the metal part on a jar. So just base coat them with a good strong coat of that. After the fall challenge, I purchased new brushes for the acrylic paint, and yes, it makes a huge difference. Have you been using old brushes? That could be the problem if you're having troubles, you know, with getting smooth lines or anything like that. It could be that you're using really old brushes or just the wrong kind of brushes. You don't want those brushes that are like really stiff, like I don't know what they're called, but they remind me of like almost like straw or something. They're not flexible or bendable. You want the nylon tipped ones that are like the one I'm using right now that are really flexible. The one I'm using right now, we actually have this pack. It's an assortment pack of 10 brushes in our shop at shopdoorhangers.com. And so if you need a good assortment pack with a variety of types, there's 10 brushes in that pack. And it includes the one I'm using right now. So it's got a good flat tip in it. It's got a couple of good round tip brushes. I think it even has a couple of good filbert tip brushes. So it's a really good variety pack if you're not sure, you know, if you just need a good assortment. And then, of course, if you need more filbert tip brushes or more angle tip brushes or anything that's like more specific, we do have brush packs for those as well. Let's see. You've been waiting for this design, Erica. I've been waiting to paint this design. I've had this one cut out for a couple of weeks now, and it's been sitting there, and I've been dying to get it out and paint it. But I was like, I need to be patient. I got to paint it on live. Things are super smooth now. I'm glad to hear that. You read where someone uses arrest paint markers. I don't know. I've never heard of those. Okay, Lori, to do the split screen, I'm using something called StreamYard. And technically, the overhead camera view that you see, I've invited that camera on as a guest. So that's how it would be like if I was interviewing somebody and we were both on the screen at the same time, only I have that camera pointing down at my project. Okay, we've got our lids painted. Now let's go in and start painting. I'm going to actually switch brushes this time to a smaller, let's see, like a smaller round tip brush. And we're going to paint the brown part of the cotton. Like, I don't know what you call that, but it's the part that holds the cotton. And we're using the dark chocolate color. So get a little round tip brush. And then, let's see, I better pull my picture up just so that I paint the right areas. I don't want to paint the ones that are supposed to be the greenery. So that right there is supposed to be a leaf. So I'm just going to make sure and not paint that area. So I'm just going to outline the area that I'm going to paint with my round tip. And see how this suddenly, that cotton gets all cleaned up. This color covers up the white just fine. So that's why I wasn't worried about being real messy while I was painting my cotton. And this brown may take a couple of coats. So we're just going to do the first coat, let that dry, and then we'll come back and add a second coat in a moment. And I'm just keeping my picture up in front of me because some of these little pieces look like leaves and some of them look like the brown part of the cotton. So just make sure you're referencing the photo whenever you're painting this part so that you know what's what. Let's see, this is brown. We almost need a paint by number chart, don't we? Does anybody have any questions? Let me pull up the comments real quick. Cotton hulls. Thank you. See, we don't have cotton growing around here, so I don't know what the words are, what you actually call those things. Cotton hulls. Now I know. It's kind of satisfying sitting and filling these in. Very relaxing. Sometimes I just paint for fun. Just like I don't even record it. I just do it for fun because painting like this is not always as relaxing because I'm busy trying to read the comments and, you know, teach while I'm doing it. And so I'm not doing it just for the fun of it anymore. And so once in a while, I will actually get out something and paint it. And it's usually not a door hanger. It's usually like canvas or something, but I'll get it out and paint it just for the joy of actually creating something for myself and being creative in the process without somebody watching or without having to answer questions about what I'm doing. It is really funny though, because if I ever paint anything that's not a door hanger, I brought it out, like I painted on canvas with Christy Hawkins. She's from the Social Easel, if you don't know her. I painted one of her designs on canvas. And when I took it into the kitchen or the dining room to hang it up, my husband saw me carrying it. He goes, "Did you paint that?" I said, "Are you kidding me? You know who you live with, right? Why would you think I'm not the person who painted that?" He's like, "Well, I don't know." And what the truth was is it probably looked better than he would have guessed that I could have done on canvas. And so he was impressed with me. And he just hated to say so. So he's like, "Well, I don't know. You don't usually paint on canvas, so I wasn't sure." But then a couple of weeks later, I did the same thing, only I painted it like on mixed media paper. He asked me the same question: "Did you paint that?" And before the words even got out of his mouth, he knew he had done messed up. He's like, "Whoops. I mean, of course you painted that." It was quite funny. I have to give him a hard time when I can. So now he doesn't even bother asking anymore. He knows. Of course I did. But what's really funny, though, is I have some artwork hanging up in the dining room that's from Hobby Lobby. And he knows I didn't paint that. And so people will come over and they'll, say, "Oh my goodness, did you paint that one?" Nope, that one came from Hobby Lobby. But I don't know if you're like me. Like, I get tired of looking at my own art. Like, I would not want a house filled with my own art. Like, I don't know what it is about it. You don't appreciate your own art like you do other people's. And so I much more enjoy hanging other people's art up in my home instead of my own. That's probably why I have a hard time putting the Bennett's on any door hanger that I paint, is because I know I'm going to get tired of looking at it because I created it. Whereas if I had bought it at the store or something, or if somebody else had painted it and put the Bennett's on it, it would probably be hung up on my door a lot longer. Okay. Jenny says, "I missed the very beginning. Did you outline the cotton parts in white so that you know what to paint? Why didn't you just do everything white since the brown covers so well?" I suppose I could have, but yeah, I did it this way so that it would be easier for me to tell what's what. Another method that you could use was you could have painted the entire top part white like I did. Well, not like I did, but like I was doing with the cotton, but paint the entire top part white. And then you could have gone around with like a Sharpie or something else and pre-designated what was going to be brown and what was going to be green and all of that. And that might have made it a little easier for you to figure out. But if something feels like it makes more sense for you to do it one way or the other, there's more than one way to do this. I only just decided to do it this way. So if it feels like it would make more sense to paint the whole thing white, go for it. But I love how this is starting to turn out. And I'm kind of being a little bit messy with the brown too. I'm not being too particular about making sure I get it just any certain way, because I know once we get all of the details on here, any little imperfections are not going to matter anymore. It's all going to become one solid design. Hang on, let me scooch this over. It's starting to get up under the shadow of my paint bottles. You're enjoying watching from Houston. You're having issues getting in the Painters Clubhouse. Says nothing here yet. Okay, Charlotte, if you're having problems, I want you to email support@paintersclubhouse.com and they can help you with figuring out how to get in. Also, if you've been wanting to join Painters Clubhouse and you missed the chance back in August, if you participate in this challenge, you do have the opportunity to go ahead and join Painters Clubhouse at the beginning of the challenge. And then, of course, if you aren't sure yet, we do offer the opportunity to join at the end of the challenge as well, because sometimes you guys are like not sure. You're like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to paint with her. I don't believe in myself and my ability to paint yet. And then once you paint with us during the challenge, a lot of times you're convinced. You're like, you know what, I can do this, and this was a lot easier than I thought. And so then you want to join Painters Clubhouse. And so if that's you, that's totally okay. You don't have to join right off the bat, but just know that you have that option. Okay, let me go back and look at my photo and see if I missed any brown spots. These are going to be green. Okay, I think we got all of the brown. So let's go back real quick and just add a second coat on all of the brown. Thank you, Laura. How on earth did you get so good with only one coat? Okay, let me show you, Cherish. Okay, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to show you up close. It's not as good as it appears on camera. See, like up close, you can see that there's lots of imperfections in the brown. So we're going to put a second coat on it real quick. But my second coats are really super quick. So I don't waste a lot of time trying to get a perfect second coat. I usually just try to quickly put it on there, which I kind of like. I don't know. I kind of like the way the color is not perfect. It's a little varied. It looks a little bit more natural. So I may not even try to do a really good second coat on a lot of this. But I don't want it to look like it was left undone either. So, because sometimes people would see that and they wouldn't realize that that was intentionally left that way. They might think she just quickly slapped paint on there and didn't do a very good job putting it on there. So we'll go ahead and put a second coat and just do it quickly. There's just a few spots where the color of the wood was starting to peek through. So I'm not really even painting over every single one of them perfectly. I'm just kind of touching up some of the spots where they were lighter. But if it looks like I get a really good coat on something, you see me not go back and put a second coat on it, it's likely because I just put the paint on a little bit thicker than you guys probably do. So when I pick up paint, you'll notice I go back to my egg carton fairly frequently for more paint. And I apply the paint a little thicker than you maybe do. All right, let me look at a different angle here. Looks pretty good. There's a couple spots. But I think once we get all our details on here, it won't matter so much. Okay. Now let's paint the green. This color is called Light Avocado. Laura says, I'm new to this. What is the Painters Clubhouse? Painters Clubhouse is my monthly membership group where we teach door hanger painting. We teach 2 designs every single month. One is always taught by me and one is by a guest painter. And so if you decide you are in love with door hanger painting, maybe you want to take this on as a new creative hobby or an outlet for you, or perhaps you want to start selling these or teaching them at paint parties locally, because that's a really great way to bring in extra money. You can join the Painters Clubhouse. Everything we teach you, you are allowed to go out and sell or teach at your own local paint parties. And so it's a wonderful community of women where we all support one another. We share our ideas. And so if you're ever stuck on something or you've painted something and you just don't love it and you can't figure out why, you could always post your picture in the Painters Clubhouse and you could ask, what is this missing? What would you add or what would you change or do differently? And those ladies are always so kind and sweet to give their opinion and to help you figure out how to improve your painting. And so many of our members, if you're watching right now, please give us a shout out, say #PCSister in the comments. So many of our members have shared pictures of door hangers that they painted in the beginning before they joined Painters Clubhouse and what their work looks like now. And you can see a remarkable difference from the beginning until now. Like they have all made huge improvements in their painting, but more than that, they've made a huge improvement in how confident they are. And that really is what makes the biggest difference, is being more confident in your painting abilities. Because if I can help you be more confident, then you're going to take more risks and you're going to do things that are outside your comfort zone. You're going to try new designs or new techniques that maybe you hadn't tried before, maybe hand lettering, stuff like that. And then that only builds your confidence more and more and helps you become a better painter. Not everybody who starts and does this decides to start selling or teaching paint parties, but inevitably a huge portion of them usually decide to start a business because it's kind of just inevitable. Once you start painting, people will notice, like, friends, family members, neighbors, they'll say, you've always got the cutest things hanging on your door. Where did you get that? And then, of course, you say, oh, I painted that. And then they'll be like, oh, I didn't know you could paint. Will you make me one? Next thing you know, you're starting a business. And you didn't even intend to. But it has been a huge blessing for a lot of these ladies because it's allowed them to bring in extra income and support their families. That's actually why I got into painting to start with. Why I turned this into a business is because we needed extra income. And I knew that if I started teaching paint parties, in my town, that would be a great way to be able to stay home with my kids and to be able to support the family as well. And so it blossomed into what it is today, which is 100% teaching online. And I love every minute of it. I get to help all of you. Okay. All that talking and I got my leaves painted. PC sister from Mississippi. She said everything Tamara is saying about the confidence is so, so true. Melissa said, I'm actually painting the fall challenge from last year again, the leaf, as I have a show this weekend, and the leaf is my quickest selling item I have. I think she's talking about, yes, the fall leaf that we painted last year. It said, what did it say on it? Thankful? I think it just said the word thankful across the middle. It was a really hot selling one. Thank you for sprinkling the love, Carrie. You love the turquoise on the jars. So, Cindy, we actually did it with 2 colors. If you're just now tuning in, I'll tell you again. We did it with these 2 colors right here, Sea Breeze and Limelight. And so we combined the 2 of them to turn it into this mason jar sort of look. So now we get to do the fun part, which is going in and adding all of the little detail lines and everything that really make this look amazing. Okay, let me get a round tip brush. Wet it with my tongue. That's really appropriate. And then we're going to get some black. And actually, I forgot one thing I want to do real quick is add in the little stems for our mason jars. So let's see. I kind of wanted to combine a little bit of gray with a little bit of this brown and see what I get. So let me pick up I'm just going to kind of combine them and make my own color because I kind of wanted it to look. Actually, maybe I should pick up a little bit of the Sea Breeze color too because it's as if it's covered by the color of the mason jar. So I'm taking a little bit of brown, a little bit of gray, and a little bit of the Sea Breeze. And we're just going to make, oh, that's a little dark. Let me pick up a little bit of white. So that was a little bit darker than I had in mind. There we go. That's more like what I had in mind. Only I need to water it down a little bit. Because it's not stretching. Like the paint was drying out before I got the stroke down that I wanted. So I wanted it to look like the stems were coming way down into the jars like this. And maybe they have little branches off of them, go in different directions. Like they didn't get trimmed very well before we put them in the jar. Let's do some this way. So I'm kind of angling them all down toward the center. I feel like they need to be a little bit darker brown because they aren't matching the colors of the cotton stems. Let's do some little branches going off. And then do this one. I'm trying not to think too hard about it. I'm just trying to randomly put some little strokes and lines. Sometimes if you think too hard about it, then it doesn't quite turn out as good. Okay, that looks pretty good. Kind of like that. All right, so now let's pick up some black. Again, I'm going to water my black down a little bit for this part because it will it'll be a little bit easier to work with when I'm doing these little tiny strokes. And we're just going to kind of create like little lines on our jars, okay? So we've got a thin, you could also do this with a paint pen, but I feel like the effect is better with a round tip brush because you can kind of control how thick the brush makes the stroke. So just do a few like that. We'll go back and add maybe some with a darker gray too. So I'm kind of wiggling on the side here and then just streaking it across the middle. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of this gray and mix it with a little bit of black and just add a few in between with a dark gray. There we go. Ta-da! Now you can add a little bit of white if you want to. So let's pick up some white. And I didn't even rinse my brush out. It doesn't really matter. And just add some movement. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay, now we can pick up some black paint. Let me look at the comments real quick. I was looking at my picture. You use Rust-Oleum Clear Gloss Spray. Yes, that is a good one. Cherish says, happy fall, y'all. Has kicked in my new hobby. I now cut out my own cutouts and hand paint everything. Before the fall challenge, I had never painted before. You're kidding. That is awesome. That is like the best testimony. Thank you so much for sharing that. Teresa said, this has added so much to my business design-wise, plus learning new things. I love hearing these little stories. You guys are awesome. Thank you for sharing. Crystal says, Tractor Supply has a silicone one. What are we talking about? Silicone what? Although I did hear Tractor Supply has chicken-themed wrapping paper. So I've got to go get some for Christmas. You love chickens too, so she needs some chicken wrapping paper. Okay, we're just going to get our round tip brush and add some quick little accents to our cotton. I'm going to try to be light-handed with this. It can be kind of tricky sometimes to only add just quick, light little strokes. It's helpful if you water your paint down a little bit beforehand, so my paint may be getting a little thick. I may have to do that. And I'm also trying to make the cotton look fluffy. So I'm thinning my paint down a little bit. Trying to roll off the excess on the edge of the carton. And then we're just adding little accents. Accent your leaves. And if I get quiet, it's because I'm concentrating. It's all this little stuff that brings it to life, I feel like. It's my favorite part. Whoops. Okay, hang on. I just dripped some black paint on top of my mason jar. I'll pick it up with a baby wipe. Look at there. It's all gone. I see some also that I dripped here earlier that I didn't notice, which it's actually coming up. Just gently rubbing a baby wipe on it. That's not coming up. That's okay. Those other little spots were tiny compared to the one that I just did. That's the problem too with watering down your black paint. You have to be careful because it will start to drip on you if you aren't watching. We're almost done. It's like running a marathon. You just got to keep adding them. Keep working at it. My husband would be like, that is not like running a marathon. That's a terrible analogy. Maybe you're not running a marathon. It's a painting marathon of adding all these little details. And then I have to look sometimes and be like, oh, I missed this area here. And I missed this one. Okay, I think I got them all. Nope, there's another one right here I missed. And here. Okay, if I missed any, I'll go back and get them a little bit. All right, so now I think I'm going to actually switch to my paint pen. I'm going to use the smallest black paint pen. How do you get the highlighted comments off the picture? You just swipe your finger on your phone. It's starting to come together. Thank you, Kim. Now use your paint pen, and we're just going to add just a little bit to the edge of our mason jars to kind of differentiate them a little bit. And then we're going to add, let's see. I don't think I'm going to add any more with the black paint pens. But if we want to add words, we could put welcome or something like that. I think I may do that. Let's just do welcome. I'm going to write it with chalk, and then I'm going to paint over it, okay? So I'm using a piece of chalk, and if I don't like this, I can always erase it with a baby wipe and start over. Okay, it don't look too bad, so we're just going to stick with that. All right, so now I'm going to switch to a round tip brush. You could also use a filbert tip if you're not comfortable with round tips. Let me push this up a little bit. And we're just going to paint right over our chalk lines. And so the great thing about round tip is when you're doing lettering like this, you can flatten your brush out, and it'll make a thinner stroke, and then you can lift it really gently and do a skinnier stroke to go back up. So your down strokes are your thicker strokes. I actually got too much paint right here, so let me smooth that out. And then do a thick downstroke right here. So I'm going to pick up more paint, flatten my brush out. I'm smashing it all the way against the door hanger. And I like to continue the stroke on down, and even if it didn't turn out perfect, I go back and kind of clean it up a little bit. Now for this one, I'm not going to apply hardly any pressure. I'm just going to, technically this is considered an upstroke right here. And I may have to even rotate the door hanger to get it to look like I want it to. Because technically this is an upstroke, so we don't want it to be thick. There we go. That looks good. Now for the E, thick downstroke. And then let off the pressure when you reach the bottom of the letter. And then this right here will be thinner, so we're not going to push down right here. If you guys struggle with hand lettering, the best way to practice is to do this over and over and over again on cardboard. Just practice writing it out with chalk or something, and then practice painting thick downstrokes. Now, one of the ways that I love to practice my lettering, and y'all may laugh at me for this, is during preaching at church when I'm taking notes in my Bible. Sometimes if I like write a scripture down, then I will go back and like hand letter one of the words real pretty on the side of my notes. And it just helps me to pay attention better because my hands are staying busy. Because my brain, I have a hard time like staying awake if I'm not doing something. It doesn't matter if I've had 9 hours of sleep the night before. I will still fall asleep in a sermon if I am not doing something with my hands. And so I will sit and practice writing out something with just a regular mechanical pencil. I will practice writing the words in cursive, and I will erase the parts I don't like, and then I will go back and just add thicker downstrokes to every single word. And it's really helped me with my hand lettering a lot because there's no pressure. It's just cute little notes in my Bible journal. It's not like when you're lettering on a door hanger and you need it to come out a certain way. Now, if you have an excess of chalk on your door hanger, like maybe you got outside the lines or you just smudged it with your hand like I've been doing, you can always clean that up afterwards after it's completely dry with a baby wipe. Just gently clean your mess up. This is so cute. Okay, and then complete this line here. Notice how slowly I painted that. You've got to just take your time. It's not going to be as fast as writing on a piece of paper. Okay, what colors did I use? You'll have to just go back through and kind of take notes as I go, but we always take this and we put it together in a blog post for you guys so that you can pin it for later and you can reference the letter or the colors anytime that you need to later. So, okay, you're a movie star now. It feels that way. Flash, flash, flash. Thank you so much. You came in late. That's okay. It's totally okay. But we are all done with this design. So if you enjoyed watching this with me and you want to save this project for later, be sure and share it to your newsfeed so that you can go back and watch it at any time. Is there a number on the brush? Oh, goodness. Let me see. This one is a 5. But let me just be honest with you. Paintbrushes, every brand has their own number system. There is no universal system for the different types of brushes and their sizes. So each company has their own sizing chart. And so even though mine's a 5 in this brush type, yours may look different as a 5. So, all right, you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to go sign up for the Winter Door Hanger Challenge if you want to learn to paint. Oh, goodness, I'm taking my banner down. If you want to learn to paint this with me, sign up at doorhangerchallenge.com. It starts on November the 9th. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a good day. Bye.